Hello, my name is Milette Siler, and I am an oncology dietitian with Moncrief Cancer Institute and the lead culinary medicine instructor with UT Southwestern Medical School. And I am here today from my kitchen, and I'd like to share with you a recipe for family-friendly individual pizzas. So let's get started. I have put together a few things. Pizza used to be kind of a mystery, right? You know, you go to a restaurant, it seems like a big production, takes a lot of time. Well, it doesn't have to be that way. Looking at pizza, the first step you want to do is you want to choose your base. Now, you can certainly choose a traditional pizza crust. You can make your own. There's recipes out there, or you can pre-purchase your own, or you can look around and probably you have something that would work just fine in your house right now. So looking around my house, I found a few things that I think could work. You could go with a tortilla. You could go with a corn or a flour tortilla. Of course, if you choose a corn tortilla or a whole wheat tortilla, you're going to get the benefit of the whole grain. A whole grain is going to contain more fiber. We know the more fiber we eat, the better benefit that we have for our body. There's several studies that show that the more fiber, the more whole grains that we eat in our diet, the better our gut health is. So we definitely want to include more whole grains. We recommend at least half of our grains should be whole for ideal health. You could also put it on, a hamburger bun, even a hot dog bun could work. Any kind of bread would work. You could make pizza toast. So for today, we are going to choose a whole grain bread. Now, at this time, you know, whatever you can find at the store, whatever you have in your house is going to work just fine. The point of this exercise is have fun, work with what you've got. But if you have your druthers, it's always great when you're choosing a whole wheat product, look for that 100% whole wheat label. If you have an option, sometimes whole wheat just means it's made with caramel coloring, and it doesn't mean that it is a whole grain product at all. We want to make sure you get what you think you're getting. So that's going to be our base. So what's next? So a pizza sauce, again, we're going non-traditional here. In a previous video, I made a 5-ingredient marinara that I'm going to use today. But the good news is pizza sauce can be whatever you want. You can use pesto, you can use a barbecue sauce, you can use a white Alfredo sauce. You can mash up some beans and get more fiber that way. Whatever floats your boat. Pizza sometimes has the reputation of being unhealthy. Absolutely not true. Can be, but you can really get a lot of flavor and nutrition on a pizza. So I want to show you a few combinations that I and my family really enjoy. This is one that I'd like to talk about first. This is actually some sauteed kale and mushroom that is left over from dinner before, so it's already pre-seasoned, ready to go. It's cooked and it's delicious. We just had a little bit left over, so it's perfect on a pizza. I'm going to combine that with some chickpeas or garbanzos. These were canned. I have rinsed and drained them. Now, if you have an option when you're working with beans, if you go for a low sodium option, that's going to be a best bet. We want to try to reduce the amount of salt or sodium that we have in our diet. One way you can mitigate that or reduce that is if you rinse it beforehand. So these are certainly very delicious. Beans have a number of great health benefits. Beans are part of what's called the legume family. Legumes, absolutely delicious. Any kind of canned bean, your chickpeas or garbanzos, your black beans, your pinto beans, they grow in a pod, so your lentils, those are all going to be legumes. Absolutely wonderful for your health. Again, rich in fiber, also folate, which is important for a lot of reasons. But a lot of people don't know that it's also a really rich source of protein. A lot of folks think you have to eat meat to get your protein. Not true. Beans are an excellent source of protein. So this is a really great pizza combo. This next pizza is my youngest son's favorite, Margarita Pizza. Very simple, traditional pizza made with fresh mozzarella, tomato, and fresh basil. Now this is a purple basil leaf. It's not quite as common as green, but just as great. Fresh basil is really high in phytochemicals, phytonutrients. Very good for you. Now, my older son, that boy, if there is no meat, he will not eat. So I have to include that. But again, a little bit of meat is not a problem. We just usually get too much in the country, but I wanted to show you, this is one of his favorites. This is a sausage blend with a little bit of fennel. Sausage and pepper is a great combo. What are we going to do today? Well, today we are going to make taco pizza. Oh, it's one of my favorites. So, you know, we live in Texas here, so I like to combine, and I think about it almost kind of like a hearty nacho. So again, we're going to use a 100% whole wheat as a base. Now, just a tip, if you are going to use a thicker bread like a hamburger bun or a hoagie bun, I recommend maybe toasting that a little beforehand before you put all your toppings on it. Otherwise, you might get a soggy crust. Nobody wants that. So I'm going to take the marinara that I'm going to use as my pasta sauce. Now, here's another tip. I don't like having a lot of rules with cooking, but you want to use a pretty thin layer. You don't want a ton of sauce on there, and you want to go out to about ½ an inch around. You got to have a handle for your pizza, right? And you want to be able to pick it up. There we go. So, all right, I've got my sauce on there. You can see I'm not perfect here. There we are. Delish. Okay. Got my sauce. So now, again, I'm not about rules, but there are a few recommendations about how to layer a pizza. First rule of a pizza, you don't want to overload. And if you put too much stuff on your pizza, it'll get soggy in the middle before it gets crispy on the outside. We don't want that. Second off, the first thing you want to put on is your cheese layer. So what do we use for cheese? Kind of whatever you want. Traditionally with pizza, you would go with Parmesan or mozzarella. So I've got a little bit of mozzarella here, but because we're doing a taco theme, I've got a Mexican blend here too. So a little bit of Monterey Jack, a little bit of cheddar too. Now, as a general rule, the more aged your cheese or hard your cheese is, the more umami flavor that you're going to have. What is umami? Umami is the sensation of savory. It's that kind of you know, like with a pizza sauce. Meat has a lot of that umami sensation, but so do canned tomatoes. So if a good tip is if you're you decided, hey, you know what, I want to eat less meat. You might be missing some of that savory flavor in your food. Look to foods that naturally have a lot of umami in them without meat, like mushrooms, aged cheeses, and actually canned tomatoes have more umami than fresh tomatoes. And that's a good tip. Because anytime you're trying to cut back on something, you're always going to tend to struggle. You want to make sure that you have a replacer, right? Nobody wants to think about what they can't have. We want to think about, you know, what we can have. That's human nature, right? Now, the next thing you want to put is your vegetables. So, now my recommendation, now for a taco pizza, I have taken these are just little mini sweet peppers, and I sauteed them with a little bit of olive oil for just a couple of minutes, just to soften them a little bit. If you didn't want to do that, that's fine. They'd stay a little crunchy, but I like mine. I find that especially my kids tend to like it more when they're just a little bit softer, so they're a little more palatable. You could also put a little bit of olive oil on them and throw it in the microwave for about 30-45 seconds too, if you want to do that. So I'm going to pop my peppers on here. Getting lots of different colors is an indication of phytochemical benefit. The more intense the color is generally an indicator that there's more phytochemical benefit, right? And the color family gives you an idea of the family of benefit. So it's really an interesting and fun way, especially if you're talking to kids about healthy eating and you're trying to have encourage them to do that. It's a kind of a fun way to talk about eating the rainbow, increasing health. So next thing we would want to add after your hearty vegetables would be your meat or your beans. Let's be honest.
Who does not have beans in their pantry right now? I know I do. We all have beans. And you might be like, I don't really want to eat chili again right now. Chili's great, but this might be a different way to use them. So I have, this is a can of beans. Again, I rinsed and drained them. You're going to add about 2 tablespoons, or however spicy you like your food, of your favorite taco seasoning blend. So let me show you my go-to Tex-Mex taco seasoning. This flavor combo is just, to me, it just defines Tex-Mex. You have chili powder, you have cumin, and you have oregano. Boom, boom, boom. So I put together a taco seasoning. Got about 2 parts chili powder to 1 part cumin, 1 part oregano. Just mix that together there. If you want to get really fancy, you could toast it in a skillet for about a minute, just until you can smell it. I didn't do that here because I was feeling lazy, but I'm gonna just put that on my beans to give it a little bit of that signature flavor. And then I'm just gonna put a little bit on my pizzas. Yum, yum, yum. I'm going to talk to you a little bit more. I mentioned legumes and some of the health benefits. Legumes we recommend as part of a Mediterranean pattern of eating. You don't have to eat very much of these to start seeing some pretty big benefits. Just 2 cups, 2 cups per week. A serving is considered 1 cup cooked. 2 cups a week. 22% decrease in cardiovascular events in one study. Pretty incredible. They followed some folks over a 19-year period, and they noticed a big difference in cardiovascular and stroke events. So I thought that was pretty great. And the only difference between those folks was that they were eating beans. So what a delicious way to make a difference in your cardiovascular health. So there we go, we've got that. So what's the next step? Remember, the first step, you got your sauce, you have your cheese, you have your vegetables, then you have your meat and your beans. You're good to go. Now we're going to put this in the oven about 10 minutes or until the cheese is melted. Now the cheese is going to kind of incorporate everything together and kind of glue all the pizza elements together. Can't wait. Now I preheated my oven to 400 degrees. If you have a toaster oven, that could work too. Just kind of keep an eye on it. Ooh, there we go. Yeah, let's get an action shot of that. Okay, so we're gonna wait about 10 minutes. See you back then. Okay, so they're all done. Let's take a look. Ooh, they smell good. Nice and toasted. Oh, they look great. Now this is where you can also have an opportunity to add a little bit more nutrition, and also give another chance for other members of your family to express creativity and try new things. So we also know that if you give children and include them in the decision-making process, if you include them in cooking, that they tend to eat more vegetables. Some studies suggest up to 70% more fruits and vegetables when you allow children to make those choices themselves. Now, you can structure those choices. Think about, like, if you were making pizza night, you could set bowls out and say, hey kids, you can choose 2 to 3 bowls out of the 5, and you can choose any of those you want. We know from several studies that they might not happen on the first try, but just don't give up. Give them more and more opportunities to try. The more exposure they get, the more likely they are to make those decisions. So what do we have here for choices? I have, I always used to put sour cream on my nachos, but I found a trick. Sour cream and plain Greek yogurt are about the same consistency, and they're both really tangy, so they're really they taste very similar. but Greek yogurt has fewer calories, and it also has something sour cream does not have, protein. So you can top your pizza with Greek yogurt. I've also got a little bit of avocado. You could put guacamole on there. Avocado is an excellent source of monounsaturated fat. And a lot of people don't realize that avocado is also a great source of fiber. A whole avocado has 6 grams of fiber. So how much fiber should we be eating in a day? Women, we recommend 25 grams of fiber in a day. Gentlemen, we a little bit more than that. 30 to 35 is the recommendation. I've got a little bit of cilantro. Now, cilantro is very polarizing, but we're going to add that on there as well. That fresh green color is a indicator that it's an excellent source of chlorophyll. We're going to add that on there. And did you know that whether you like cilantro or not is determined by a gene? That's actually true. So if you think cilantro tastes unpleasant, well, guess what? That's totally okay. And there's plenty of other leafy greens for you to choose. Like you could put some of this shredded romaine on there. When you're choosing lettuces, the darker the green, again, indicates that there's more phytonutrient benefit, more nutrition in there. So try to go for more leafy greens if you can. Again, I'm going to put just a little dollop of that plain Greek yogurt on the top. There we go. Just give it a little bit of tang and add just a little bit of fat. Okay, great. So we've got a really balanced meal. Look at all this color. The red from the tomato indicates that it's a rich source of lycopene. Lycopene, best absorbed with a little bit of healthy fat. We've got fat from the yogurt, the avocado, and of course the olive oil we use to saute the veggies. This is a complete meal. Whole grain, legumes, lots of vegetables. Delicious. I hope you enjoy it. So, we would love to hear from you. What kind of vegetables do you like to put on your pizza? What kind of challenges are you having with the rest of your family, your kiddos? Any tips and tricks that you have up your sleeve to get folks to try new things in your house? We'd love to hear from you. But until then, from Moncrief Cancer Institute and UT Southwestern, stay safe and healthy cooking.